This week I got a chance to talk to my old friend Monica Cromhout, an astrologer, a publisher, so many things, and also some would call her a truth seeker, lately seeking that truth along the path of sacred mushrooms. So much has happened, exciting in her life, and age 71, going strong, she shared her fascinating story with me. So, Monica, I am so excited to be here and to be finally talking to you. You know, I've had you on my list since I started interviewing people because I've known you for a long time. And, you know, for me, one of the important things about life is about, you know, growing yourself spiritually, about trying to be conscious, about trying to move forward as you learn these things. I've known you for a very long time, and in all that time, I've seen you move through lots of interesting things that it always struck me, and I could be completely assuming this, but it always struck me that when you reached a point in your learning or whatever that it challenged or broke your previous assumptions, you always let go of those and moved into the next thing. I never saw you cling to something. And that was what was also striking to me, that I knew you from publishing, but then at some point there you were beginning to study astrology. And I always remembered you told me that in your earlier life you'd even gone through a religious phase.
Couple of times.
So would you then define yourself as a seeker? I mean, what drives that?
I'm often called a seeker. I'm not aware of seeking. I want to know what's true. That's what I want, which is not quite the same as looking for anything. I want to know what's true, and more and more deeply and widely, I want to walk a path of truth. And it's brought for me that commitment, tremendous disillusionment along the way, where I've found something I thought this is now really true and I can really go deep here, and then I do, only to find it's got feet of clay. And then it falls down.
The thing that's important to me is that many people, when they find that something's got feet of clay, they're so far forward that they then build an idol out of clay and they carry on looking and worshipping that idol. But something in you is not content to do that.
No, because I want the truth no matter what. I want the truth, whatever the cost. Whether it's humiliating or disillusioning, I still want the truth. I would give up what I'm doing now, if the two things that I do now, if I found that either one was not the truth, I would simply walk away.
Maybe you are okay with not being comfortable.
I guess so. I've had plenty of practice in that. It's like normal for me, not being comfortable.
So then what is the pleasure, if you like, in finding truth? Like when you first, for example, when you first discovered astrology, and most people, in my experience, when they first discover astrology, there's this experience, there's this tremendous aha, especially when you discover your own chart and you see how true it is, and it's a revelation to you. And it feels like I have found the truth, and that's a comfortable feeling. So there's a comfort in finding the truth, but somehow you still move on from that.
Well, if we use astrology as an example, astrology just brought me increasing discomfort, because the more I discovered about astrology, the more I realized that what I know is nothing compared to how much there is to know in astrology.
So you've become a professional astrologer, you consult with people. Is there any particular line of interest or intention in what you do?
I sound like a broken record. My passion is to enable people to move towards their truth. I always ask at the beginning of every reading, why are you here? Is there a particular reason? Something happened, a question, a concern? And almost all of them say, I want to understand my path. I want to understand more about life. I just attract people like that. Yeah. I don't get people who want to know about when they're going to win the lottery, or will they ever get married, or I don't get that kind of thing.
So would you say it's spiritual guidance that you're giving them?
I guess you would. I don't call it that openly, but I guess it is that. I don't see myself as a spiritual guide. I just read the chart. and I speak what's in the chart, and I'm very strict about that because I'm quite opinionated, and I'll get an opinion about something that I really want to give, and if I can't see it in the chart, while I'm talking, I'm having a little inner battle that I can't say that
Right.
because that's my stuff, and I stick with the chart and go with the chart always.
Earlier on, I was talking about, the spiritual principles of living in the now, and you said that's vagabonding. Tell me, what do you mean by vagabonding? It sounds like enticing but naughty. What
Yeah,
is it?
it's being prepared to live completely 100% in the moment and aware and tuned to the moment, all the influences of the moment. I mean, right now there's an aeroplane going overhead. You take notice of that. There's a whole lot of people up there in the sky above us right now. And the rustling of the trees, there's stuff going on all the time, and tuning into that because it's out of that environment that's around us at the moment, together with the inner environment, our own inner stuff. And so there comes along a connection in the moment, and then you respond to that connection, which will come in 1,000 different ways. It can be a piece of information, it can be something that pops up on your computer screen, it can be an insight that flashes in. It can be so many, and then I respond to that. I don't plan anything. I just live by that, and then it leads to one thing or another. That is the vagabonding in principle, and what it means is living each day, allowing the day to bring what it can bring, which is going to bring a different tomorrow than you would have had if you hadn't lived that way, and that then goes into years, and that's where you get these leaps across the chasms. Through vagabonding, because suddenly you see something across the chasm and you can get there and you just jump.
Huh.
It's a very exciting way to live.
It sounds a little on the edge, but it is a very
It is
exciting.
living on the edge. It's a good way, to summarize it. It's living on the edge and being prepared to live on the edge.
So when something kind of bad happens, does that mean you can't move away from it? You've got to walk forward into
You
it.
go into it, yes. I mean, I don't know if you wanted me to mention this now.
Yeah, mention
I got
it.
arrested. And I was standing on those steps over there, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'd walked outside. There was something going on at my home, and I saw 3 police vans stop, and they told me it was 10 police, which is ridiculous. I didn't actually count them, and they walked down this path. And I felt my heart just expand to take this new experience on. And they said, "We've come to arrest you." I could have hugged them. I mean, I just knew this was something big happening. My blood pressure didn't go up, my heart didn't pound. I just knew there's something. I don't know how it happened. I don't know exactly, but this is something great. And it was the most important thing that has ever happened to me in my whole life, that moment.
Well, I'm going to get back to that
Yeah.
moment in a second. I want to ask you, is that not just the experience of age, wisdom, that says, it's cool, I'll be fine, let them come?
I think I'm more skilled at it now, but it's been my way of being always, even in childhood. I was my family always saw me as being really difficult, and I probably was difficult because I was always living on the edge. As an astrologer, I know my own chart,
Right.
and it's a living on the edge kind of chart, but safely. There's a strong indicator there that I can safely live on the edge.
Right.
And I've got that inborn confidence of knowing that I can live on the edge. And I guess I'm meant to do that. So I've always, the family have always seen me, who know me from when I was little, that I was always off on my own tangent, creating discomfort and chaos for others unintentionally. And now I think I've just got really good at it.
So then what I want to say is, if this is the case, isn't the job of an astrologer to predict the future?
No.
Not?
No.
Do you do that don't do that for your clients?
No. I do talk about what's coming up in the future. It's part of every reading.
Mm-hmm.
And those who are regular clients who come regularly, we only talk about that. I don't rehash the birth chart every time.
Right.
The future doesn't exist. We are creating it as we go along in the now. That's what makes the now so important, and living in the moment, because we're making the future happen. And certain things are easier than other things. And one of the key things around that, which I often mention, if it's mentioned in the chart, that the need to actually know the direction in which you yearn to walk. I had certain yearnings that drove me
Right.
throughout my life. And if you know what that is, you're consciously aware of it, it creates all kinds of other magical things that go on in the moment that you follow that create the kind of future that you yearn for.
So it kind of, from what you're saying, I get that it kind of increases your awareness of the experience. It's like
Yes.
you're experiencing an unfolding. If you understand the unfolding, you can be in it.
Yes,
It's a
yes,
little
that's
bit like
beautifully
that.
put. That's exactly how it is.
So then let me take you back then to you brought up that arrest, which I
Yes.
think obviously it helped you enormously in that moment
I was
of
charged with dealing
dealing
with
in,
an illegal substance.
which was
Sorry, I want to laugh.
well, I'm always fascinated because I know that those were mushrooms, and it's fascinating how things that grow in the ground can be
Yes,
illegal,
I know.
which is really a
ridiculous.
fascinating human way of looking at the world. Who put them there?
God doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Nature.
So you've been working then with psilocybin mushrooms, commonly called magic mushrooms, I think.
Yeah, I don't ever call them magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
It also has connotations that are not the
Right.
way I work. And I'm very sensitive to the connotations of words. It's one of the things I got as a publisher, was the power of words and the right words.
So how do you refer to it?
The two phrases I use, depending who I'm talking to, because so they know what I'm talking about. I usually, to someone who knows nothing, I'll say sacred mushrooms, never shrooms and never magic mushrooms. Although, of course, they are magic. That's the dilemma, is that they are magic, but putting those two words together confuses the whole issue. So sacred mushrooms, and then the other that I use is either soma mushrooms or just soma, which indicates the sacred way of working with mushrooms, which is the way they've been used for thousands, millions of years by humans and animals, actually. They eat them too.
So how did you get involved in that?
Well, I was busy vagabonding. I was so happy as an astrologer. I was so rewarding, and I was well set to, this is what I'm going to do till I drop dead. And I'm so happy about that. So I was in a state of contentment. And I decided to have a 64th birthday party, purely because I heard one night the Beatles song, When I'm 64. And I thought, well, my 64th birthday is coming up. Better do something about it.
Let's do this thing, yeah.
So I then just put on Facebook, I'm celebrating my 64th birthday with the theme of the Beatles song, When I'm 64. Everyone who knows me is invited. I'm not sending out a single invitation. I don't care who comes, living in the moment, not going to control anything. Although didn't understand that as clearly as I understand it now. You allow for the magic when you live with magic that you could never create yourself. If you know me, you're invited. Don't come crying afterwards and tell me I didn't invite you. I said, please don't bring a gift. My house is loaded with junk and clutter. Please don't bring a gift. Bring food, because I don't know who's coming. I don't know how many people. And one of the people who arrived that night, very late, she came with a gift. And it was a small little gift wrapped nicely in gift paper. And I said to her, no, you weren't supposed to bring gifts. And she said, it's food. Put it somewhere safe. I forgot all about this little gift that I tucked away in my handbag until she called to remind me that she'd given me this gift. And I opened it and it was this little bundle of mushrooms. And wow, I had already discovered ayahuasca, so I knew about experiences with entheogens, and it had meant a lot to me. I was also happy to continue with that. I didn't have any ambitions to do anything else. And I took those mushrooms and in my back garden, I made a place, put it on a mattress and a pillow a few days after my birthday. And I had those mushrooms and I had some music with me. I looked up everything that I needed. And I had the most amazing night, absolutely beautiful night. And I never wanted it to end. I wanted to stay there forever. And I heard birds singing in the trees eventually. And I realized that the day was coming. And at that stage, with the birds singing in the trees in the early morning, I heard the voice of mushrooms. Now, I didn't know that mushrooms had a voice, and I've never heard voices before, not ever. But clearly, I heard the voice, and the voice said, "Your home will become a school for mushrooms."
And this was on that very first
Yeah.
experience.
Now, what's that? I mean, it was a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on about?
Yeah.
So I then went into this dialogue with this voice, which was quite puzzling, but I still was feeling the effects of mushrooms, which enabled me to continue with that. And I said, no, that can't happen. I don't know anything about mushrooms. So this voice says, very solemn, "You don't need to know anything. All you need to do is open the door and hold it open." And I felt this, I can't explain it. I just knew that's all I had to do about something I knew nothing about. And it was an amazing that it's still, we leave the door open when we have ceremonies now. It stays open as a symbol that we open the door and hold it open right onto the street. And that's all I did. That's how I went, step by step. The person who gave me the mushroom, she got me some more. And my first experience is working with someone with mushrooms, totally ignorant, was with the guy who happened to came to fix my computer that day. And I said to him, "Have you ever used mushrooms? I need someone."
The technician comes to fix the computer to this sweet old lady's house, and she offers him hallucinogenic mushrooms.
That's how it happened. And he joined me a couple of nights later, and that was the first time I didn't know where. I was just going one step at a time and not really knowing where it was going. And it unfolded in the most amazing way. That was 7 years ago.
And then it grew into something much bigger.
Yeah,
what's happening?
Much, much bigger. And it seems to have grown really fast in many different ways and different levels. I had to change my whole house, move out furniture. And I mean, it just unfolded like it was something unfolding regardless of me, in a way. And where we are now is we have regular gatherings. We actually call them retreats, overnight retreats. It's a retreat. It's a connection with divinity. And the bigger picture is that it's flowing along really well. And many hundreds, more than 2,000 people have come through my home to do mushroom journeys.
So then what is it they experience? Is it a spiritual experience they have? Is there a specific experience they have? What is it that they get?
There's no specific. It's like astrology. Every chart is unique. Every person is unique. And the night that we meet is unique astrologically. And I'm looking at all of that. And in working in the principle of the vagabonding in the moment, I never closed the door. One of the early instructions I got when I was thinking, I need to have forms and I must do a bit of checking who's coming, which is what I'd done with my previous training in other fields.
Right.
All that fell away. The instruction was receive all who arrive. Not even those who book. Receive all those who arrive. And I've consistently put that into practice. Often it's very stressful.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who's coming. But I trust that higher force that's guiding all of this has got to sort that out. I can't...
right.
Who am I to judge whether this is the right kind of person to be doing this kind of sacred work?
So was it not because of someone who came to one of those that you ended up having the police show up at your door?
Exactly. It's exactly so. And I was not worried about him as scrap. He was a highly regarded academic. I had never met him. He was referred by somebody I trusted. And I wasn't at all, and he was 77, mature man. And so I wasn't even worried about him. But he had the most interesting experience, which now he openly says it was the most important night of his life. He's going to be testifying on our behalf in court. And he something very deep in him got triggered, and it triggered his greatest fear, whatever that was. I don't want to speak about him personally, but it triggered a fear
Yeah.
And he ran away. He ran out of the house. I had no fence or anything in front of the house. I had the door open all the time in every way, metaphorically and in reality. And he ran and he disappeared, which was a very hard time for us because we now have to find him. I notified the neighborhood watch to look out for him and give my address to bring him home. He'll be lost, he'll be confused, bring him back. But as it was, he found his way to the police station. How he did that is amazing, considering where the twisty roads and things.
Yeah.
And he asked to be taken back here to where his car is. That's what he wanted. There was the story went around when the press got hold of it that he reported what was going on. He did not. He did not do that.
He wouldn't have had a reason to anyway.
No. He wanted to help to get back here. He couldn't find his way back, which is understandable. And he was brought back here, and in the car, the police asked what was happening, and he said we were working with mushrooms. So they then decided to arrest me, which was opened the door to things I would never in a million years have managed. And I was the easiest. They didn't need 10 policemen to arrest me. I was the easiest person in the world. I went gladly with them, knowing this is opening something else. I don't know what, but it's going to be something really good.
I mean, you spent a night or two in a cell, if I remember correctly, but I do seem to remember that you came out of that saying that you decided if you went to prison, you're just going to teach them astrology in prison.
Yes.
And so right from the beginning, you just had the understanding, I'm going to vagabond this and let it unfold. I do know from speaking to you that the court case or the efforts by the state to prosecute this seem to have gone in every which direction but straight ahead for them, as if something else was in control.
It really seems like that. It's like whatever they did just fell to ashes without me doing anything. But if we did practice our law properly, one of which is a proper application of the law to our constitution, we would have the most marvelous country on this earth.
Because you are taking this as far as the Constitutional Court. I know. So what is the right that you seek them to acknowledge?
Well, what I really yearn for, which makes me feel it actually will happen because I've got this yearning, even though I don't understand it logically, is that mushrooms are freely available to everyone, that there is no controls, like nature made them. It's interesting that sacred mushrooms, this particular kind of mushroom, psilocybin mushrooms, grow all over the world. Every country has got its own variety. So everywhere has its own psychedelic mushrooms. And that says this is a worldwide. Nature doesn't do nothing, something like that for nothing.
So I know that a lot of people might think, but it's drugs. It's like drugs need to be legal or people are hurting themselves. Can you make a difference between what the mushrooms are and what people think of as dangerous drugs that people take?
Well, this is a conceptual thing, and words, using the right word. Drugs, in the context in which I work, and which I think is the correct use, are a man-made, chemically made, mood-altering, mind-altering substance, or not. I mean, aspirin is a drug.
Right.
Nature is teeming with potentials for healing. But it got made illegal, and it blocked humanity off from everything that nature can bring to make us better. Particularly, and starting with making our hearts better, our minds better, our ethics better, our conscience better. So then everything, a whole lot of other things sort themselves out.
What I have begun to notice is that there's increasing research showing that mushrooms seem to be applicable to a variety of psychological problems that cannot be fixed any other way, especially depression, one of the biggest problems the modern world faces. And it's not an antidepressant in the sense that it makes you get high, because it doesn't make you get high. It really just changes how you see and think about the world. I think the bottom line of what it is, even the contents of it are different, but that it shows each individual that you are more and the world is more than you might have hitherto realized. And when you experience that moreness, you find that it increases you and it enlarges you. It doesn't frighten you. And you can't undo that experience. You realize you're more of a human
You
being.
can't unknow what you know.
You can't unknow what you know. It's been such a pleasure talking to you about this. And I know that you're at such an important place and it's such an important thing. And you think, I'm doing these two amazing things, but I'm going to keep watching you walk through the open doors, because I think vagabonding might mean who knows what Monica Cromhout has up her sleeve next. Thanks, Monica.
Thank you, Rod.
Remember to like the show on Facebook and you'll see what's coming next, participate in giveaways and more. And I'll see you back here next week, same time, same place. See you then.